In this video, we're going to cover when to play aggressive to obtain loot. In Arena Breakout, we are also joined by Kiwi, who is currently the #2 player in Arena Breakout, and he will be offering his unique experience and knowledge for the community to learn and grow. I will present a theory, what my current belief and conclusion of a subject is. He will correct it or confirm if it is correct based on his experience. I will ask questions along the way for us to understand and learn fully together. When to loot in Arena Breakout is a question that is at the core of this game, which answers everything: when to fight, how to fight, why to fight, when and where to rotate, when to extract. I recommend starting from the beginning of this playlist, which is linked in description, to learn everything about when to loot in Arena Breakout, and fully understand as it is broken down in order. However, each video you will learn from it standalone useful information. So would you say there's anything else important that we haven't covered of when to loot in Arena Breakout?
No, I think a lot of it is just covering if you hear footsteps or a player approaching you. It is good to retreat if you're in an open or a bad position. If you have a good position, a strong defendable one, you can wait and ambush the player approaching you. Or if it's just a solo and you're confident in your abilities to win that 1v1 or 1v2, then you can just full send it and play aggressive. Now, I wouldn't say it's optimal to avoid the situation by not looting at all and just camping in the defendable position, because sometimes you might just sit there for 20 minutes and they might then, eventually a player might come and loot it, or they just might not come and loot it at all, so you've just sat there for 20 minutes. Which is why I personally will either push my opponents or rotate on them, have a nice flank or a rotation on them, or I would just disengage from the battle at all, especially if they're low levels. It's not worth risking your kit if you're using an expensive kit over a fight with a couple Timmies. Now, a situation where that could be good waiting is if they're in the open and they are very susceptible to a third party. Then I might wait a little bit longer to see if they get third partied, because if they get taken out by the new team that comes, pushes them, I might be able to catch that team off guard and third party, and then doubling my loots at the end of the day.
I see. Yes, that's interesting.
And another risk with waiting so long is you won't have a lot of time to loot and get to the extract as well, which is why you see me just pushing everything, is because one, it gives me loads of time to loot, and two, then I don't have to worry about getting third partied as much, because the fights are over in a couple of minutes. It reduces the risk of me getting third partied.
Yes, I see. And if you wait, well, then it doesn't give much benefit, because maybe they don't push you, they just disappear, and then you run out of time to loot anyways in the end.
Correct. You might just run out of time completely, and you will just have enough time to get to extract, so you've just spent 30 minutes in the game, and you've not been able to make any profit. Granted, you won't lose your kit. You will just have you'll stay the same. You'll strike even, as some would say.
So weak teams, they would just wait or run away when you encounter them. But a stronger team, they're not going to just camp for a very long time, right? They will either push you or leave. But if you engage the situation as well, the fight usually plays out because both are looking to make a profit and get loot.
Now, I won't use the term weak teams. I think a lot of the time weak teams, when they're pre-built, will stay together more than stronger teams or more confident teams, because more confident teams can recognize when they are good players, and sometimes they might disengage. Weak teams, they might just camp. They'll just probably try and camp their teammates' loot. However, they also I have still seen a lot of people run away. Now, it's randoms randoms will just abandon their teammates like that. They will run away and they will leave their teammates. So it's randoms who will a lot of time not bother camping their teammates' bodies, and if their teammates get smoked, they will run away a lot of the time because they don't care. So it's not
Right,
weak
I
teams,
see.
but random teammates.
Yes, that makes sense.
You, as the teammate to them, you are their least concern. Like you're their last concern. They don't care about you. They care about the loot and only the loot for themselves.
So what happens in that situation when you're playing more aggressive versus a team that is also of a similar skill level, or if you're duo or solo versus 4, maybe are a bit less weaker than you, but because the numbers, they're stronger. Let's say you push and you lose because you had a bit more of a disadvantage versus if you played more defensive. How do you balance that? Like if they may have pushed you or something, if you've waited longer, how do you decide that decision?
Now, generally, I base the player's skill level off of the armor they're wearing. T5s and T6s, I would generally assume are avid Arena Breakout players and they know what they're doing. Now, if they're lower tiers, like tier 4, 3, 2, I will assume that they're newer players, they're less confident in their own skill. You know, they're newbies, some would say. I would play super aggressive with them. Now, if I approached a full T5 squad or even a full T6 squad, I would tone down the aggression just a little bit and play it more tactically, getting rotations off onto them, you know, those sorts of things, rather than just rushing them like I would with a newer team, beginners.
So you still wouldn't camp the entire match waiting for them because you run out of time to loot and you won't be able to extract, and there's also no reward to that. So you would wait a bit longer, see if they make a play, or rotate on them and try and get a position that you know you're definitely going to engage them and take their loot.
Or sometimes you could just camp their teammates' bodies, because say you killed 2 of them, even 3, you can't just camp their teammates' bodies for a little bit, because maybe not 3 of them. A lot of the time when you kill 3 people from one team, the last person will camp so much because it's 3 of their teammates' loot on the line. If you kill 1 person, then you might be able to pick another 1 or even 2 of them off while they try to grab their teammates' stuff. Especially if you wait a long time. But for me personally, their teammates would fall back a little bit or even push forwards to get a better position on where they think you were, so you can use that to your advantage and pull off some pretty nasty rotations onto them.
I see. And so that last player, if you're, let's say there's 1 person left, would you camp that body for a very long time? Or would you camp it for a bit and then play more aggressive, rotate, and try and figure out where that last player is?
I think if I've killed 3 from one squad, depending on what level they are, and you know, try to get to their head. If they're a low level, they might camp more. If they're higher tiers, they might camp even more. That doesn't make any sense. If they're at low level, they might not camp as much because they might not be sure of the angles and the rotations you can pull off on them. But if they're tier 6s and you've taken out 3 of them, then they'll camp a lot more because there is a lot more loot at stake. They will camp so much compared to a lower tier player. So I would definitely try. So especially if on Northridge when it's in the open. Let me start that again. Especially on Northridge when it's so in the open, I would definitely try to rotate on them, because a lot of the time, depending on where they are, they might not have cover, and so they will just be sitting on top of a rock, behind a hill, maybe trying to camp their teammate's body from there. So you can definitely pull off a rotation and get them from, catch them off guard, get them from the side, rather than having to fight them inside of a building. Because like I said, Northridge is such an open map.
I see. And an armory that would change because it's more condensed?
It would be a lot more difficult, yes, because rotating is more difficult, and a lot of time you will just have to push them head on. Sometimes you can, catch them from a different angle, where they won't expect you from, but a lot of the time you do have to face them head on where they know you will be coming from.